You may be seated, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're going to continue with the direct examination. You may inquire.
Detective, when we left off, we were talking about how the lab had assisted you in identifying a suspect, and we went through some of the photos and things that were collected. Did you collect a DNA standard from the defendant to give to the lab?
Yes, I did.
To confirm the information. May I?
You may.
I have here what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit O. We see some initials and a number there. What's that?
I had my initials and badge number,
Okay.
and that'd be the swabs taken from Mr. Anderson.
Keep your voice up.
The swabs taken from Mr. Pardon.
And other than what the lab has done for any testing, do these appear to be in the same or similar condition as when you collected them?
Yes.
And does that go for the other swabs that we've already talked about?
Yes.
You had also talked about in the surveillance videos that during the course of your investigation, you had identified the woman with him.
Yes, that's
Who
correct.
was that?
It'd be Deborah Pardon,
And who is that in relation to him?
sister.
And where did she live?
She lives on East 15th.
Is that the house that Agent Durst searched?
Yes.
Did you try to talk to her?
Yes, I did.
Was she cooperative?
Yes, she was.
As part of that cooperation, did she also provide her DNA to you?
Yes.
May I?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit N1. Can you tell the jury what N1 is?
It's going to be the 2 oral swabs from Deborah Pardon.
Okay. And you said that she cooperated,
Yes, she did.
she talked to you,
Yes.
and during the course of your interview with her, did you ask her to take a look at some photographs?
Yes, I did.
What were those photographs from?
Images taken from DSW surveillance
And why did you show them to her?
for identification purposes, to have her identify who's in the surveillance.
May I?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibits Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. As a group, what are those?
Surveillance images from actually the Kroger's on there as well.
Okay,
From
Kroger's.
and DSW.
Thank you. I was going to say Kroger's as well as. And do these appear to be fair and accurate copies of the stills that you provided to Deborah Pardon?
Yes.
Your Honor, permission to publish, I think this one I need to do through the Elmo.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. You may.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay, we'll start with, wrong way, Q1. Now, to be fair, are these the originals?
No.
Okay. Was the original copy a little bit better?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me where, you had mentioned 2 different locations where Q1 through Q4 had images from? Which
Yes.
location is this?
This is DSW.
And I see some handwriting here. What is that?
That's Deborah Pardon's signature and the
And
date
wha-
as she viewed the images.
Okay, I apologize for interrupting you. Why did you have her sign and date that?
Because she identified herself and her brother, Anthony, in the photographs.
Can you use the laser pointer and identify her in the image?
That'd be Anthony Pardon, that'd be Deborah Pardon.
Okay. State's Exhibit Q2.
Again, that's,
Sorry, I'll move it up so you can see Q2.
again, same date, and it's DSW, and that's Deborah Pardon.
And we see a signature there.
Yes, Ms. Pardon.
Okay. Now, I do want to say, that's Q2. How did she sign it?
Deborah Pardon,
Okay, and how about in Q1?
Debbie Pardon.
Did you watch her sign these?
Yes, I did.
Was it the same person?
Yes.
Okay, sort of like Art and Arthur?
Yes.
Okay. State's Exhibit Q3.
It's more DSW surveillance. Obviously, there's a DSW bag. That'd be Anthony Pardon and Deborah, and again, her signature.
And last but not least, State's Exhibit Q4.
And this would be taken from the Kroger's on Saldana Boulevard. This is the vehicle, which was the same vehicle that Mr. Pardon was stopped and arrested out of. And this is Deborah Pardon inside the store.
Okay. Now, was this the one, we saw two Kroger videos, one with Mr. Sleet and one with the woman, but she had kind of covered her face, if I recall correctly?
That would be this one.
Okay, and without her, were you able to tell who was in that photograph without somebody telling you, I guess
No.
I should say?
No.
Were you able to see any identifying features?
The hat, clothing, but other than that, no.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. In those photographs, we saw a phone that was in the vehicle that the defendant was arrested in.
Yes.
What, if anything, did you have done with that phone?
I had it examined.
Do you do that or does somebody else do that?
No. I give it to a person that's qualified to do the examination.
And who was that you gave that to?
That one, I believe I took to BCI.
Okay. So we previously talked about Rachel's phone. You got her phone records. Did you also obtain his phone records on that disc?
Yes.
And are those records what you sent to Miss Lester?
Yes.
Now, how about the phone itself? We know that Rachel's phone itself was collected. And the phone, did you say the phone from the car that the defendant was arrested in was collected?
Yes.
The physical phones, did you send them to another detective to examine?
To James Howell. He's with Columbus Digital Forensic Unit.
Okay, so we have two different people working on phones doing different things?
Yes.
And did you get search warrants for all of that?
Yes.
After the defendant had been identified, were you contacted by someone from the Ohio State Highway Patrol?
Yes, it was one of the troopers.
Okay.
I can't recall his name.
What was the nature of that notification?
He wanted to notify that he had a traffic stop on January 27th with Anthony Pardon.
Okay. Were you able to determine what car he was in?
It was the same vehicle.
Anything of note about his clothing at that traffic stop?
It was similar to the ones in the surveillance videos.
And was there any kind of weapon or a replica of a weapon in the car at that time?
There was a pellet gun underneath according to the surveillance and watching the trooper talk to him, there was a pellet gun and a holster underneath the driver's seat.
Did you also find out, so the 27th, during the course of your investigation, were you able to determine if Miss Anderson had been alive and communicating with people on the 27th?
Yes.
Okay. Moving forward then to the 29th, did you also receive some surveillance that indicated that the defendant had been at some place called the Rife Center?
Yes.
Where is that located?
That's located downtown right across from the state building.
And did you obtain that video surveillance?
Yes, I did.
And was it on State's Exhibit L1?
Yes.
We are not going to play that, but did we get a still image from that as well?
Yes.
May I, Your Honor?
You may.
State's Exhibit L2. Can you tell the jury what that is, please?
It's a still image of Anthony Pardon in the Rife building.
Okay. And does that appear to be a fair and accurate still from the surveillance video itself?
Yes.
Your Honor, could we switch to the computer now, please? should work. We see it here. All right. Okay. Do we have State's Exhibit L2 up there?
Yes.
Okay. It is a little bit difficult to see, but you know what? I hate to do, well, no, I'll just do it. Can you explain for the jury, even though it's tough to see, was there anything of note or anything that you thought was of investigative value to you when you looked at this video?
The clothing,
Okay. Does he appear to have any jewelry on in this?
oh, the gold chain around his necklace, or his neck, I'm sorry.
Okay. Did you, going back to Detective Howe, you mentioned Detective Howe.
Yes.
Did he have, when you gave him the, thank you, Your Honor. When you gave him the defendant's phone, did he want you to request any specific records related to that?
That'd be Google information?
Okay, Google information. And did you make that request?
Yes.
Were you initially successful in getting records from Google?
No.
Did that change at some point?
Yes, it did.
Can you explain for the jury, without getting into too much detail about what Detective Howe said to you, what you needed to do to get some additional records?
Well, I want to understand, which he could clarify a little bit better than I can, that there was some different change in software. And he requested I submit a request to Google again to obtain that information.
So you sent the first request and you got nothing.
Yes.
Detective Howe talks to you. When did he talk to you about clarifying the request?
It was sometime later, and actually, I think I was either following up on a phone out of this case. I have several phones with our Detective Howe, and I might have been following up on that, and the conversation came up, and we decided that we need to try it again with the upgrade in the software, whatever they have at Google that changed since the first time.
And did the two of you work together on whatever language you needed to
Yes.
give to Google?
Yes.
And then were you able to successfully obtain some Google records for the defendant's phone?
Yes.
Did you do anything with those, or was that all Detective Howe?
No, I do not do anything with it.
Okay, Detective Howe?
Yes.
The apartment complex that Rachel lived in.
Yes.
Through the course of your investigation, did you determine whether or not the defendant had any connections to that apartment complex?
Yes, he had a girlfriend there, Bernita Anderson.
Bernita Anderson?
Yes.
Do you recall her address?
3070 Allegheny Avenue?
And did you meet with her and obtain her DNA?
Yes.
May I, Your Honor?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit N2.
Okay.
And what is that?
The two swabs from Bernita Anderson?
Okay, so the DNA from her mouth
Yes.
appear to be in the same or substantially the same as when you collected it, minus anything the lab's done.
That's correct.
Now you gave us the address for Bernita Anderson. It's same street, but to be fair, are we talking about an apartment complex?
Yes.
Where the streets wind a little bit?
Yes.
To that end, did I put together a Google map for you?
Okay.
You may.
I'm showing you what's been previously marked for identification as State's Exhibit Z. What is that?
It is an overview of the apartment complex.
And does it appear to fairly and accurately represent the apartment complex that you visited?
Yes.
Okay, Your Honor, permission to publish?
Any objection?
No objection.
You may.
Okay, with your laser pointer, please. Can you give us, I see there's a road down there at the bottom, like a main road.
It's Allegheny?
That's Allegheny?
Yes.
And then can you use the laser pointer and show us where Rachel's apartment was?
The front is right here, and there's a rear door which faces the south.
Okay, so her front door that we've seen photographs of in A1 faces towards that larger open area.
This area here.
Okay? Can you please let us know where Bernita Anderson's apartment was?
This would be 3070 right here. On this end of the apartment, this is 3068, that's 3070.
Okay. And you just gave us where Rachel's front and back doors are. How about Bernita's?
Front would be here and rear would be right here.
Have you actually gone out to that location?
Yes.
Can you tell me if you did anything in regard to a line of sight for Bernita's to Rachel's?
From the rear of 370 Allegheny, you could see the back door of Rachel's apartment.
And how about Allison Gamble? Do you know somebody named Allison Gamble? Thank you,
Yes.
Honor.
Yes, I do.
And who is Allison Gamble?
Allison Gamble is the daughter of Bernita Anderson.
And I should have asked, we talked about Deborah Pardon's house, where the defendant would stay sometimes. Did you receive any information about the other address he would stay?
Yes, it would be with Bernita Anderson.
Okay, and so her, you said Allison Gamble's her daughter who
Yes.
lived in the apartment complex as well?
Yes,
Where did she live in relation to Rachel?
3044 Apartment C,
How close is that to Rachel?
next door.
Was she living next to Rachel at the time of Rachel's death?
No, she moved out December 2017.
Okay. But up until December 2017, she was living next door to Rachel.
That's correct.
At the time of Rachel's death, was Bernita Anderson still living at Cardinal Creek Apartments?
Yes.
I don't have the map with all the circles. I think that's it. Oh, yes, I apologize, yes. We talked a little bit about Detective Howe and getting those Google records.
Yes.
Once you got the Google records, the second successful request, did he have any, he as in Detective Howe, have any specific requests for you?
Yes, he wanted the precise longitude, latitude of Rachel's address.
Okay. Did you do anything to obtain those for him?
Yes, I did.
What did you do?
I went out to her residence, stood on the front door stoop with my phone against her door, and got the longitude, latitude with my phone, using the phone's compass.
And how close were you to Rachel's door?
I pressed my phone against the door.
Okay. If I could have one moment, Your Honor.
You may.
Thank you, Detective. That's all I have for you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Roush. Cross-examination.
Good afternoon, Detective Howe. Excuse me, Detective Hughes.
Good afternoon, sir.
I'm thinking about Detective Howe since you
That's okay.
You know, you don't have the records with you pertaining to Detective Howe, do you?
With me now.
And I believe you indicated that at some point, you were requesting some records from Google,
Yes.
and you don't know what year that you received those requests, do you?
Been 2018.
It would have been 2018?
Yes.
You're not 100% sure of that, though, are you?
For the second set, have been 2019.
2019?
Yes.
And is that when you went and conducted your experiment with the phone, you placed it on the door? Was that 2019?
Yes, sir.
So initially, you were not the lead investigator on this case, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you never interviewed Tina Kennedy, did you?
No,
And you didn't interview John Kennedy, did you?
no, sir.
So, can you tell the members of the jury, who did you interview in regards to this case?
Who did I interview?
Yeah.
I interviewed Deborah Pardon
Okay.
and Mr. Sleep.
Okay. Did you interview John Anderson?
John Anderson, I don't recall. I know I collected his DNA.
What about John Kennedy?
No.
And I think you told the members of the jury that you verified John and Tina Kennedy's whereabouts?
They were together.
Okay. But you were able to verify their whereabouts, weren't you?
Per each other, they gave each other their own alibi.
So you weren't able to verify their whereabouts other than what you heard from them?
That's correct.
Did you ever order any phone records or anything pertaining to what contact any of those individuals had with Rachel?
No, that would have shown up on her phone records.
Did you ever request any Google records or anything for John Kennedy or Tina Kennedy to see where their phone was in relationship to Rachael Anderson's apartment on the night she was killed?
No, sir.
Would that have been important to you?
Prior to the arrest of Mr. Pardon, it
Yes.
probably would have been.
Okay. Once you arrested Anthony Pardon, there wasn't no need to investigate any further?
I think we had quite a bit of evidence.
All right, maybe you didn't hear my question, Detective Hughes. Once you arrested Anthony Pardon, did you feel like there was no other need to investigate anybody else?
No, sir.
Okay. Let me ask you, you talked about a vehicle in which Anthony Pardon was driving.
Yes, sir.
Did you ever have any of your crime scene search unit people or BCI do swabs of that vehicle for DNA?
For his DNA?
Any DNA,
For
just
his
to have
vehicle?
it swabbed to see?
For his vehicle, no.
Okay. So you see that, I believe you indicated that there were times when you had looked at surveillance video and Anthony Pardon was not driving the car, he was riding a bus, is that correct?
Well, I never seen him. It appeared that he got on a Dakota bus at Main and 18th.
Well, if we just go back for a minute, when you said that you had a picture, the still of Anthony Pardon at the Rife building.
Yes, sir.
On that particular day, do you know or not if he rode the bus or
I
he
have-
was driving the car?
I have no idea.
And I believe, well, you tell us, are you saying that you have only videos that where he appears to be getting on the bus?
Just the one last from 850 East Main Street. It appears that he's getting on a Dakota bus at Main and 18th.
Do you have any videos of him in that car?
I have a video from the trooper from the day before the homicide, traffic stop on Cleveland and Weber.
And you had that video?
Your Honor, objection, may we approach?
Yes, you may. Excuse us, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take about a 10-minute break. Let's get you back in the jury room at 4:20. Again, remember the admonitions that I've given you. All rise. All right, let's take about 10 minutes, everybody.